Hello, my name is David. I'm the owner and craftsman here at David Lane Design. And I want to talk to you a little bit today about the continuation or part two of the history of David Lane Design. I think it's a really important shift in our business and what we started doing differently. For a wrist check today, I am wearing a Hamilton Chronomatic, really cool Panda dial on a Butero strap, calfskin strap in whiskey. Cool story behind this watch is that it was one of the first automatic chronographs ever made. They were in a competition with Zenith at the time, and I really just love the dial. I love the history of the movement. And I also, I like that the little rally holes we did on this strap. Again, a prototype. I tend to wear prototypes. But this leather is available. It is just a beautiful, beautiful calfskin out of Italy. And I want to show you the original leather to kind of show you the patina and how it develops. This strap's about 3 years old, pretty heavily worn in my rotation, and just a really solid, probably number 2 or 3 bestseller on our site. I want to briefly touch on the history, because in about 2013, I met Ben Clymer, who happens to be a Rochester native. I had reached out to him on Twitter, and I was like, hey, I make watch straps. I'm in Rochester. I'd love to just meet you, talk to you, and just talk watches. And he came in, I think, with his father-in-law and his brother, or his brother-in-law and his father, and spent 2-3 hours on Christmas Eve in my shop, asking questions, taking pictures, and just wrote this beautiful article about my business. And in that conversation, he really didn't come right out and say, hey, you know, there's other brands than Panerai, because at the time I was really just making straps for Panerai. He just kind of said, hey, you know, we're doing a lot of articles on these vintage watches. There's not a whole lot of straps on the market. You know, he made it known, like, hey, you should probably consider making straps for other watches besides Panerai. And I took that information to heart, and in about 2014-15, I started shifting the business to do more straps for other watches, other brands, other sizes, vintage watches. And with that shift, really making just a finer product, you know, upgrading the leathers, making the straps a little thinner, doing more stitch per inch. We do all of our stitching by hand, by the way, if you're not familiar. Everything we do is by hand. We punch all the holes, 2 pieces, 1 piece of thread, 2 needles, and stitch back and forth through every single hole twice. So really just a proper handmade product. But in that shift, that kind of led to another conversation, maybe 3 or 4 years later, where Ben was back in Rochester. He stopped in the shop and said, and I had mentioned to him, I was like, hey, I'd love to do a collaboration with Hodinkee and the Hodinkee shop. And he said, absolutely. And almost emphatically, yeah, definitely, let's do this. And I think really, if I didn't make that shift, if I had stuck with the Panerai straps, the heavier, thicker stitching, I don't know if that collaboration would have been as possible. And I'm really glad I did that shift. I brought in a whole new batch of customers. That article, both in 2013 and then again, I think in 2018, it might have been 2019. I get my dates screwed up, so don't hold me to the dates. But that release, I think, sold out in 2 or 3 days, was just an incredible boost to our business, and put us in a position to be just honestly at a higher level. And without Hodinkee and without Ben Clymer and the whole Hodinkee family, I don't know that we'd be where we're at today. I mean, really, I can't thank them enough, and I can't say my business would be what it is today if it weren't for those conversations and those changes that were made as a direct impact of both Ben Clymer and the Hodinkee team.